All right, y'all. This is a new episode of Mann Cinema Reviews. It's a little bit of an impromptu episode. I just got a lot to cover today, and I've been gone for a minute. The last episode we covered with my son was Venom, Let There Be Carnage. This is going to be kind of a hodgepodge roundtable discussion without the roundtable, but kind of just a overall general consensus with 4 titles. This will be just another kind of overview of 4 October releases. October has been such a busy month for me personally and for the channel. So if this comes off as something that's not so structured, it's meant to. It's on the fly. I have not prepared. Usually, the way I do this, I usually prepare an outline that I go over, in minute detail, every minutia, and I have not done that for this episode. So again, this is going to be kind of an impromptu. We're going to have fun with it. It's going to be, a little bit off the cuff and spontaneous, but I think I get the best out of myself when I'm, just kind of riffing. So thank you very much for choosing Mann Cinema Reviews. It is your lovely host, Peter Mann. What's up, y'all? If you have yet to do so, if you're new to the channel, if this is your first ever, welcome. Thank you very much for choosing Mann Cinema Reviews. Today we're going to be covering 4 films. The first is The Many Saints of Newark. We also have Titane. We have No Time to Die, the new 007 film. And we also have the film Lamb. So these are 4 interesting, intricate, individual titles. Again, October is a big month. I've just been busy, been crazy, but thank you very much for rocking with me. I am at 70, almost 70 subscribers. Hopefully by the time that this goes live, I'll have 70 subscribers. I'm getting there, y'all. I really need those numbers up because I really have something planned for 100 subscribers. If you're a fan of my reviews, thank you very, very, very much. I know I can't see you or I can't come in contact with you unless you leave your comments in the comment section. You can also email me. I'll have all that information down below. Again, leave a comment, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell as well so you know when a new review is posted. All right, so we're gonna lead off today with The Many Saints of Newark. This is the new HBO exclusive film based on, it's a prequel to the hit HBO series The Sopranos. What makes this really special is that Michael Gandolfini, yes, James Gandolfini, who was at the helm playing Tony Soprano back in the late 90s, a monumental, breakthrough hit series. I mean, HBO didn't do television quite like this, and it really was the kind of catalyst of, real crime dramas that you see on TV today. And so with them coming back, David Chase writing it, you have Alan Taylor directing it. He was a director of many episodes back in the days, and he has done work on Game of Thrones. He has his own set of features. He's a capable director. I wouldn't say I'm a big fan of Alan Taylor, but the films that I have seen, he again is a very capable director. And it's great that David Chase entrusts Alan Taylor to be at the helm of this very epic, what feels like almost 3-hour film. It kind of feels like the new generation Goodfellas. It's a young, impressionable teen, just like Ray Liotta's character in Henry, that we see young Tony in Michael Gandolfini, playing such a great role. He really looks like his father. It's really uncanny valley stuff that you see on screen. It brings tears to your eyes if you're a die-hard Sopranos fan, and I was able to be one, especially during the pandemic in the early stages. I binge watched that for a good 2 months. It took me, but I loved that series. I loved it. So when they announced that this film was going to be released, it was going to be released last year, but due to COVID-19, they ended up pushing it. I love the cast here. Vera Farmiga as Tony's mother. They put a prosthetic nose on her. I mean, the whole cast is great. And it really focuses more of Tony's uncle. It's really his story. And that would be Christopher's father. And what's cool is that Michael Imperioli comes back to kind of be the narrator. So it's about his father. And it's more his story than it is young Tony, which was definitely surprising when I saw it. I really thought that we were going to focus on Tony Soprano, the way he was raised. This is based in the 60s and the 70s, in a volatile time between Italians and African Americans in New Jersey at the time. I love the whole period piece and the severity that this film has for capturing the time as well. Again, this is a sprawling, almost 3-hour runtime, and it is full with just Easter eggs. If you're a big Sopranos fan, I think you will love this film. In the summation, I think that its runtime, I feel like they try to condense and throw everything but the kitchen sink at you. It doesn't feel overwhelming. Its pace is okay, but I feel like they try to cram so much into it that I feel that it's just kind of truncated, and it doesn't allow the audience to breathe with it naturally. I think a lot of audiences would like to see The Sopranos come back. So if this was more of a prequel series, I think you would have more time to breathe with it. But for what the iteration of it is as a feature film, I think that most fans and just casual moviegoers will like what's going on the screen. It's very volatile. It's very shot well. I think that if you're a fan of The Sopranos, I think you'll have no problems with this. I just wanted more. I think that a general consensus of this film is that it leaves you wanting more. I hope they do a sequel, a follow-up to it, because I really think that we need more Tony. I think we need more of his storyline. So if they bring Michael Gandolfini to reprise his role, I think if we see him going into his teens and early 20s, it'd be kind of a general kind of progression into the series and what's to come. And so with that, I do like this film. I think I wanted a little bit more epic. It just didn't feel as epic as I thought it was going to be. I will give this film a strong 3.5 stars, almost 4. I just feel with its runtime and it trying to be crammed so much into the storyline, it just isn't able to breathe naturally. And with that, I still do recommend it. So if you're a fan of The Sopranos, I think you will like this film. Going on to the next film, Titane, whoa. If you've heard about this new French body horror film, I'm glad that you have. And I just saw a lot of trailers run through each time I saw more indie art house films in theaters. I would always see this trailer. I was intrigued by it, didn't know what it was about. Again, it's in French, but Julia Ducournau is the director. I really want to get into her previous film, Raw. I heard it's bananas, but nothing can prepare you for what Titane is. But I really like the two main actors that we have here. I don't want to give it too much away. It's about a young woman who has a very serious car accident as a little girl that leaves her with a metal plate in her head, and she grows up to be this very risque, dancer at car shows. She's really attracted to muscle cars, and the attraction just goes a little bit overboard, if you know what I mean. I don't want to give too much away, but it really is a thrill ride. It's almost an odyssey of events that occur to her, and what happens at the end is just mind-blowing. My mind has not been blown since I saw Sorry to Bother You. I think I draw a lot of parallels to that film because That film was billed as a comedy, but then it had so much social, kind of political commentary to it, and at the end, it just does something really bananas. This happens in Titane too. Even though it is a body horror film, nothing can quite prepare you for the third act and what happens to the main character. This is such an interesting, very visceral viewing. There were times that I winced like I've never winced in a movie theater ever. This film is just breathtakingly just bonkers. It's bombastic, but it's made with such care and finesse. Julia Ducournau is a filmmaker that I'm very much a stand for. I really want to get into her feature before this, Raw, because I really liked what she did with Titane. And if you watch this film, if it's still in theaters, I implore you to watch it. It's a great film. It won the Palme d'Or at the Cannes Film Festival, so that's how you know how good this film is. It's crazy. I will have to say that if you hear me say if it's one of my favorite films of the year, you know what's coming next. Yes, this is a full-fledged 5 stars. Go and watch this crazy movie, Titane. You will, again, it's not for the weak. So if you have a weak stomach, it's not for the faint of heart. So go within with that disclaimer. The next film that we're going to cover is the final chapter in Daniel Craig's 007 series. This is the last time he will reprise the role of James Bond in No Time to Die. This film picks up where Spectre left off. You know, James Bond has retired. He's living a tranquil life in Jamaica. The events really come into play when his friend Felix comes and asks for his help to go on a mission to save this kidnapped scientist. But James Bond, doesn't know what's in store for him when he comes back into the fold of the whole 00 agency. You have your ragtag crew come back with a new addition to the 007 family. And I really like the cast here, the international cast that's going on here. We have Ana de Armas is smoking hot. She plays a key pivotal scene in Cuba, and just everybody is firing on all cylinders. I've never seen Daniel Craig like this as James Bond since maybe Casino Royale. I really parallel to his first outing as James Bond. So you know that I'm gonna speak favorably on this film. I really like this film. I really liked how they ended the series for Daniel Craig. I know that since I think maybe wrapping up on Skyfall, Daniel Craig has voiced his frustrations of coming back to playing James Bond. I think he hasn't found the director that he's going to bat for. Luckily, we have Cary Fukunaga at the helm. He's just giving us what we love in this international spy, espionage, action, thrilling, show that we're so used to in the 007 films, and just builds upon it, makes it intricate, does things like Christopher McQuarrie does for Mission Impossible, that makes things interesting, lively, fresh. So I really did come away with this film being very favorable. I think it still has those kind of 007 tropes. The villain in this, not saying is weak, but it just feels kind of cookie cutter. And it just feels like a plot that we've seen James Bond go through. But things are turned and altered where you don't really know what the fate is for Bond. And it's very interesting how he works with other people in this film. He just feels like he's always an outlier, no one he can trust, but he really builds on his relationships. And I think that's the way you end, your chapter as James Bond. And it's interesting to see what the future holds for the 007 series. With that, I did like this film. It runs a little bit long, almost 3 hours, if not 3 hours, but I didn't feel the running time. So with that, I think that this film is in and out. It does, a lot of things great. It does some things that I feel is inescapable with the tropes that usually happens with these spy espionage films. And I will award it a strong 4 stars still. I still think that this is a strong film. It ends things well with Daniel Craig. Tips off the hat, man. Thank you very much for contributing to the sterling series that is 007. And with that, we are going to be ending things off with another kind of horror film, indie art house film called Lamb. Now, this is a film that I've been really, really looking forward to seeing. Just like Titane, I was always seeing the trailer for it. Very interesting. Basic plot is this Icelandic couple stumbles upon a unnatural birth of a lamb in their barn, and they raise it as their own. I'm not going to give too much away. I'm going to leave you with that. If you've seen the trailer, I gave you basically the summation of it. Naomi Rapace is definitely the pull for me in this film. I've loved a lot of her work, and she really sold it for me watching the trailer. But nothing really quite prepares you for actually sitting down with this and let things marinate. And it just is a slow burn of a film. That was what, I'm not saying that that's something that I knock it for. I just didn't realize that that was the kind of film that I was going into. I thought that we were going to kind of get into the whole, crux of it all and, get into the shit basically. But it's a film that really that grows with you. And I would say that get caffeinated. That was something that people said about 007, but it was such a thrill ride that even if I wasn't caffeinated and I went to the last screening, it kept things thrilling. This film definitely is the epitome of a slow burn. So with that, I do think that the kind of isolated atmosphere of two couples in their Icelandic farm in the middle of nowhere, you're just surrounded by nature, everything is quiet, the thing is lit all the time. And when a film is scary, that is pitch perfect lit all the time, like we saw in Midsommar, and it's still effective, it's still a great film. But still, I'm going back to how slow the pacing is in this film, and that's my biggest detractor for this. We could have gotten into the fold much quicker, but I think that was the director's intentions of that slow building tension. And boy, is it a just character study of tension. With that, I don't want to give too much away. I did think that it gives you visuals that are breathtaking. It's beautifully shot. Naomi Rapace and the male counterpart in this film, you can sense that something in their past has afflicted them. There's definitely some wounds that are still raw, but this lamb that they bring into their lives really, just kind of makes things better for them. It really is kind of starting over on a clean slate. And the brother of the husband of Naomi Rapace is kind of like the turning point. We finally have another character that we can work off with. When it was just them two for the longest, I think that's when the movie kind of picks up. But again, we don't see him until towards the second half of the second act and towards the latter half of the film, and the third act is when it really pops. And with that, I do recommend this film, but it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. I mean, it wasn't as scary as I thought it was going to be, and the pacing, I just kind of had a problem with. With that, I did still like the film, and I will recommend it. I will give it a strong 3 stars. And I know that sounds kind of low out of 5, but I still think that it is worth seeing. It definitely go support art house, well-made films. If it's still playing in theaters, I implore you to watch it. Thank you very much. We're going to recap the many Saints of Newark. I awarded it 3.5, Titane 5 stars, No Time to Die 4 stars, and Lamb 3 stars. Thank you very much for joining me on this episode. Again, sorry for it being kind of spontaneous, but I've been busy this month, and I just wanted to present you with an episode that I think you're going to still have fun with. If you like my reviewing style, if you think I could tweak things, please just leave a comment, press like, press subscribe, press the notification bell, because I really want this channel to just blossom into something really spectacular for me. I've been loving what I've been doing. Thank you very much for choosing Mann Reviews, and we'll see you on the next one.